Hey guys, what's up? Casper here. Today's video is going to be very practical. I'm going to try out my 2 knights attack against some random chess players on Lichess. But hey, this won't be a boring live stream video where people just play chess and then end the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze the game towards the end of this video and disclose to you my real thought process. I mean, how I think during the game or how other strong players think during their games. So first, let me play a practical game and then later on I'll show you step by step what I was thinking, and I'm sure that will help. So don't skip this video. Let's go. Alright, so I'm playing this game on my tablet and I hope the video quality will still come out okay. Now, the only thing that I know about my opponent is that he's a French defense player. So I should start with e4. Okay, so the French, now I go knight f3 and knight c3. So we first of all start with the knights. This is called the 2 knights variation. Next, I'm going to play, d3. Yep. So knight f6, I think pawn to h3. I'm going to show you why I'm making these moves at the end of this video. So again, I'm planning to go bishop d2 here. If pawn takes, by the way, I have knight g5. Maybe I can go bishop e2. So, yeah, bishop e2. So far so good. You can see how solid my opening is. Just castled short, then b5. Alright, what am I going to do here? So rook e1, bishop b7, bishop f1. I think let me go knight e2. I want to put my knight on g3. After which I'm going to play knight f5. Yep, my knight should sit on f5. So I'm stealing this idea from the Rui Lopez or the Italian game Gioco Piano. So c takes d3, c takes d3, I think. Not. I wanted to take with my light squared bishop, but I think this is good for my rook. Following one of the middle game principles that says rook smile on open files. So rook c1. Still controlling the c file, g6. I think let me just give him a check. So I played knight h6 and black played king g7. I think knight g5. There's a trick here. Knight g5. Black can't take my knight on h6 because I have a discovery. There's a bishop on d2. So this is just how we make plans, you guys. I think queen g4. Yep. By the way, if bishop takes, I'll take with my other bishop. And maybe I have some nasty discoveries here. Can I go queen h4? Yeah, I think queen h4. My queen is under attack right now. So I have queen h4, right? And maybe someday I'm going to team up with my bishop on h6. So knight back to h5. Maybe I go pawn to g4. Again, black doesn't have to take my knight because I have a discovery. I mean, if black takes, I'll play knight e6, check. That'll be check because my bishop... Oh, wow. Oh my god. So I think now I can go knight e6 check, hitting on the queen. That'll be a check by my dark squared bishop. Yep. Again, if bishop, oh, okay, g5, I think it's just checkmate now. Alright, so this is how easily you can defeat the French defense with a 2 knights variation. I mean, if you know exactly what you're doing. Now, here comes the interesting part, you guys. Let me show you my thought process. But before I do that, be sure to subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already. And hey, what are you waiting for? If at all you find this video to be interesting, why not giving it a thumbs up in order to encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one? Up to you guys. You can do that during this short break as I open my analysis board to show you my thought process. Alright, let's go. So yeah, the game started as a French defense. I told you the only thing I knew about my opponent was that he is a French defense player, but I didn't know what he was going to play or how he was going to respond to my two knights variation. So here after c6, I like playing knight to f3 instead of d4, which most people play. Because, see, the funny thing about the French defense is that French players are well prepared against these kinds of moves like d4, e5. That's what they want to see. Openings like the French, the Caro-Kann, and the Perk are more like setups where black players just play the same things in the opening stage regardless of what you do. So that's why I like taking most of my opponents out of their preparation with a move knight to f3. They still go d5. I mean, what else can they do? And this is where I play knight c3. So this is what we call the two knights variation, you guys. If you are a keen follower of my videos, I'm sure by this time you already know that I also like playing the two knights attack against the Caro-Kann defense. So tomorrow I'm gonna make a video on that, which is why you have all the reasons to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification icon so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. Here my opponent played pawn to c5. I mean, what else? That's what French players play. And here I simply played d3. Now, the big question is, how do strong players play their openings? Listen and listen very carefully, you guys. The truth is, I played about 3 openings. When we reached this position, I started thinking of the Tennyson Gambit. That's how we play chess, you guys. So you start an opening, but along the way, you're also looking for other possible transpositions. That's what strong players play. So we combine opening ideas and sometimes even middle game ideas. With d3, my brainchild was, if pawn takes, well, I was going to play knight g5 in an effort to win back my pawn. This is a very typical thing to do in the Tennyson Gambit. Now, see this move. In case black takes on d3, or maybe they play knight to f6, a more prophylactic move, I was going to play bishop e3. I covered this in the video that has popped up in the card above. The whole idea is that if they take on d3 with their e-pawn, now I take back with my light squared bishop. And let's say if they play pawn to h6 in an effort to chase my knight away, I was simply going to capture on f7, sacrificing my knight, double attacking the queen on d8 and the rook on h8, so that if they take, now the queen on d8 will fall. So you can see that my light squared bishop is doing a great job of covering the e8 square, so the black king cannot go back. And let's say if they still want to hold on to their queen, they don't want to lose it. Well, this can even be worse because I have bishop takes on c5 check, and they will have no any option apart from giving up their queen, and that'll be checkmate, you guys. So the moment I played pawn to d3, that's what I started thinking of. Okay, so I started looking forward to reaching that Tennyson position. I mean, even if d takes e4 still happens and then I go knight g5, and let's say they don't play knight to f6 first, but they take on d3, well, I was still going to take on d3 with my light squared bishop, so that if they play pawn to h6 this time, I don't even retreat my g knight to e4, okay? Because I have queen h5 in an effort to mate on f7 if they play something unusual. But if they play, let's say, pawn to g6 instead of knight f6, I was still going to sacrifice my bishop on g6, and after pawn takes, I go queen takes g6 check, king d7 leads to a mate in 2 after queen takes e6, and let's say if they go king c7, here comes knight b5 checkmate. So this was going to be a mate in 2. And let's say if black played something else, I mean, instead of king d7, after queen takes g6 check, let's say king e7, I was still going to develop my dark squared bishop, and after something like queen e8 here, in an effort to trade queens, I was going to take on c5 with check, and after king d8, I go castle long, which comes with check. And it's funny how the queen can even be lost, even in this position. The only sensible move for black is to give up their queen here. So how did I know all these things? Well, because I know my Tennyson Gambit opening very well. I've studied this gambit several times, which is why it's very important to also know your gambits, know your openings. See, when we are teaching you these gambits, or when we are showing you these gambits, we don't really mean to say that's what you should always be playing. We just want you to be very much acquainted to these opening lines and know that they exist. Suppose you meet them in other serious positions. So that's why I played pawn to d3 on move number 4. So there we see the first featured opening, which was the Tennyson gambit idea. But black played knight to f6 here. And instead of playing pawn to e5, I just played a prophylactic move, pawn to h3. Again, still waiting for black to take on e4, after which I was going to play knight g5. Just sacrificing a pawn to open up many lines for my two bishops, which is okay, by the way. Bishop e7 is what my opponent played, and then I played pawn to a3. What am I doing with all these prophylactic moves? Well, still waiting to see what black wants to do with this e4 pawn. Hey, by the way, even if black plays pawn takes on e4, I can still take with my d pawn and allow him to exchange queens, making me lose my right to castle, which Stockfish thinks is very much okay for white. I don't mind playing with my king on the center when there are no queens on the board. That's just how we play chess, you guys. You don't have to be afraid. Castle shot is what my opponent played, and then I played bishop d2. With bishop d2, now I made it obvious that if black took on e4, I was going to take with my d pawn, okay? Since this queen wasn't going to take my queen now because of this bishop sitting on d2. So knight c6 is what was played, and right in this position, my eyeballs started looking for a Ruy Lopez knight maneuver where we put our queen's knight on g3 instead of where it is on c3, okay? And I'm going to show you how we do that. So after knight to c6, I simply played bishop e2. By the way, if pawn to d4, I was going to retreat my queen's knight back to b1 and later on develop it like this. So that's the knight maneuver that I'm talking about, which we play in the Ruy Lopez and in the Italian game Gioco Pianissimo. So a6 was played by black, after which I just castled short. Well, they played pawn to b5 and then I played rook e1. Look at this light squared bishop here. It is very passive, so I want to put it on f1 so that I can pave way for my queen's knight to come on this square, okay? They played bishop b7 and then I played bishop f1. Now it is quite obvious that after pawn to d4, I'm going to play knight e2 and then I'm going to put my knight on g3. Anyways, that's what they played. And this came at the right time when my bishop was sitting on f1. So I played knight e2, very good. They played e5. And I saw an opportunity to put this knight on f5. So now you can see that I'm no longer thinking about the Tennyson gambit. I'm thinking about the Ruy Lopez or the Gioco Pianissimo. So I played knight g3 and I played c4 and I put my knight on f5. That's why we put it in the Italian game. C takes d3. I didn't want to take with my light squared bishop. I wanted to open up my c file for my queen's rook. That's what we do in chess. They played rook c8, but I rushed with rook c1 to control the c file. So they played pawn to g6, attacking my knight, which is on the juicy square, the f5 square. I played knight h6. That's check. So black played king g7 for whatever reasons. And then I remembered another tactical shot that I saw as a kid where we play knight g5, provoking black to take my free knight so that I can do a little discovery with my knight. Now, sometimes we just make these kinds of moves, not because we want our opponents to blunder, but just that the more we develop our pieces on their most active squares, the more we take away many squares from our opponents. These two knights are controlling a lot of squares where they are right now. So I'm happy with my knights here. Knight h5, I played queen g4, bringing one more attacker closer to the nation of eyeballs. And after knight to f6, attacking my queen, I played queen h4. Now I started thinking of this, okay? After knight h5, they don't have anything else to play. I played pawn to g4, now attacking this knight. You can see how flexible my opening is out of the blues. King takes h6 was finally played, which was a blunder because I had knight e6, a discovery check by my bishop, and what I was thinking was this: if only black decided to block the check with his bishop, I was going to take with my bishop. That's check. And also hitting on the queen. So if they do this, now this was going to be checkmate. So that's what was in my mind. And I saw all these with my own eyeballs. So here they played g5, forgetting that queen h5 was going to be checkmate. So let me show you that Ruy Lopez idea which I was talking about, where we put our knight on f5. So in the Ruy Lopez, we start with e4, black plays e5, and then we go knight f3, they go knight c6, and then we play bishop b5. If they play s6, we retreat our bishop to a4, and let's say they play knight to f6 here, I don't know. We normally castle short, and if they play bishop e7, well, we go rook e1, b5, we play bishop b3, and after castle long, we go c3, taking away these two squares from the knight, and after something like d6 here, I don't know, there are many moves that black can play. We simply go h3, stopping this move. I'm just making random moves here, you guys. And let's say h6 by black. You can go d4 or d3. Let's say black plays bishop b7. There is this knight maneuver where we play our queen's knight on d2 with the idea of putting it on g3 and on f5 someday. So this is the position or the line that I started thinking about when we reached this position, except that my light squared bishop was now sitting on f1. So I wanted to reposition my knight to somewhere on the king side, and that's exactly what happened. So in most of the games for these advanced players, you'll find that they combine opening theories, they combine opening ideas, gambits, etc. That's why we show you lots of